Could there be 3 to 6 months more pain for crypto? Let's talk about it. We got some very, very important things to discuss and exactly what we're having, what we just had here on October 7th, and we had a massive dump. We had a signal show up right here that is signaling there could be further downside or at least a prolonged sideways action. Now, we had something very similar happen over here. Let's see. December. Yeah, over here. December 2017. We had something very similar happen here at this peak. And look what happened. We had a similar signal. Everyone got bullish right here, right? Bitcoin's going to the moon, 108,000. And then what happened? Then we got dump. Then we got, consolidation, another dump. Pump up, trying to make a new high, barely made a new high, but then rejected again. And this rejection was much worse. And then we got another similar signal. And then we got big dump, much further dump. And then we got another dump before we finally made our way up over here. But man, that was brutal. How long was price attempting to recover? Arguably, let's see. Arguably all the way. It didn't recover until like this amount of time. 142 days. How many weeks is that? That's a long time. 142 days. That's many, 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 many months. That was December. I think that was December 17th. I remember that day. A lot of fear. That was not a good day. All the way to May, guys. Man, that's a long time. Months and months and months before the price fully, made a new all-time high. Oh, man. Months and months. And we also had a similar signal happen over here in March of last year, which was absolutely brutal. And I think this is even a longer period, but we had a similar signal happen here. Let's go ahead and play the video. So I put a video out December when we were over here. Oh man, look at how long the price was low. Right over here, I put a video out to warn y'all of that signal. And so here, why don't I share it right here? This is my December 17th video. If you look at what spells trouble is when there's 3 red arrows. There's 3. It's based on the Gann. I'm definitely not an expert with Gann, but it's based on one of the Gann indicators. Anyways, 3 down arrows has spelled trouble in the past. So just a little warning here. I don't know how serious this is, but if it's anything like we saw back in March 2024, we all remember what happened there. We saw 3 down arrows, and then Bitcoin did not get past that price level for months and months, right? Many of you remember this long drawn-out sideways action for months and months and months. It took all the way to November for us to break out of there. So there is some concern there. Does that mean that this is the all-time high? Not necessarily. Could it be? Yes, it could be. So we got that all-time high there, but then, like I was saying, man, it took 142 days to really reclaim that peak. Months and months and months. Downside and then consolidation. Boom. So we are sitting at a similar place now. And you see we got 1, and then this was we ignore the circle there, so we got 1, 2, 3 down bars in a row where we made lower highs 3 times in a row. So there's that signal. So big concern there that we might not fully reclaim, 126K. I mean, it is arguably possible that we could get back up there again, but maybe it gets rejected at like 127 or something like that. Kind of like we did before back in January. We tried to get a new high, but we weren't able to. Or we're just going to consolidate for months and months. All right, so big concern there. I also want to play my previous video where I came out and I told y'all the bad news that I sold 50%. So let's see what I was saying there. Like I shared in my previous video, you look at this yellow indicator. This is the rate of change of the global liquidity chart. Raoul Pal said the rate of change is more important than the actual global liquidity chart. So this literally shows the rate of change of the global liquidity, and it shows a possible downtrend. I mean, it's not 100% accurate. It's been, I think it's 82% correlated over the last 180 days, but over the last... All right, so there's that indicator. So that's another concern that, I mean, that shows months of downside action as well. So this is why I sold 50%, why I'm concerned. Now, you know, I could be wrong. It's certainly possible. Of course, there's always a chance that we recover from here and maybe I miss a bit of upside. But I'm willing to miss that in order to protect from further downside. Let me clean up this chart a bit. Some other charts that I was looking at that show possible further downside. Big concerns are, let's see. Let me get the right one. Is the Bitcoin? All right, whatever. I'm just going to pick them. Okay. This cycle's chart shows Bitcoin going down as well, and it's been pretty correlated. Let's see. We had this recent peak December, the one I was just talking about, and it shows kind of similarly to what we're experiencing now, where it made like a double top, and then it fell off pretty strongly. And what we're shown here with the cycles indicator is that just with this little bit of a pump upwards, Bitcoin tried to make a new all-time high, but it was showing that it wasn't going to be sustainable. So of course, I only got access to this indicator like a few weeks ago, so I wasn't able to like forewarn you guys. I wasn't able to forewarn myself either, because that's things just kind of happen that way. You know, when you know, some of these private groups, when we get enough data available, then we figure out, you know, which way the price is going, but it only gives us like a few days warning ahead of time. Because the things change so much in these markets. Like things change every week. Things change every day. It's wild. But anyways, this indicator shows more further downside till about, I mean, this is approximate. It's very approximate, but let's see. We have October, November, December, approximately. So, man, November, it shows more downside possibly, but then it actually changes. It updates every day, but currently it shows a potential uptick in December, not necessarily November. Now it's not guaranteed. This is just, I actually don't know exactly how this indicator was created, but from what I heard, it's all about the harmonics. I can't even explain to you what that means, but yeah, it shows potential down in November, which is surprising, and then possible uptick in December. But if price does some wild, unpredictable swings, then the indicator might change. So I could keep you guys updated on the information that I have available. Now, many of you asked for great questions, by the way, great comments, asked for updates on the astrology and if I am seeing correlations with the Bitcoin and crypto astrology that shows a potential peak that we've had already that convinced me to sell 50%. Let me move my face. Let me try to, I don't know where the best place to put my face is, but I'll move it over there for the time being. Okay, let me zoom out for a second. Okay. Just a minute. That's a little better. Okay, so The Bitcoin astrology. We do have this negative transit. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be this negative, honestly, but it's turned out to be very negative. Uranus squaring the Bitcoin Venus. We're getting a direct hit on November 1st, but it's been in orb the whole month. So there's a possibility we get another dump around November 1st. As this has been turning very negative. Uranus being the planet of technology and crypto, squaring the Bitcoin Venus, which can be a very sensitive aspect on the Bitcoin chart. For example, when Saturn conjuncted the Bitcoin Venus back in March of 2023, is that the correct year? Yeah, 2023. I remember that day very well when we had the Silicon Bank collapse. Saturn was conjuncting the Bitcoin Venus. That was a huge dump, but a great buy opportunity. So we're getting Uranus squaring that Venus, Bitcoin Venus on the 1st. That's a concern. And I mean, we actually have a couple of strong positive transits. I mean, well, this isn't as strong as Neptune sextiling the Bitcoin Jupiter on November 14th. That's slightly bullish. And then this is really bullish, actually. Uranus trining the Bitcoin Jupiter on November 19th. So it's actually, maybe that's a great buying opportunity. That's what I'm thinking currently. In the case that we head up in December, like that cycles indicator was showing. So I'm looking for correlations with the astrology, with what we're seeing with accurate indicators. So far, that cycles indicator is proving to be quite accurate so far. Not guaranteed to continue that, but we'll see. Okay, so I also historically, I look at the BlackRock ETF astrology, and this was showing, I mean, that's bullish. It's a bullish Neptune sextiling the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF Pluto on November 6th, but I'm not going to get too excited because that cycles indicator wasn't showing a great November. But it's also getting Uranus trining the Bitcoin Pluto here with the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF on November 15th. So perhaps could be a good buy. But here's the big problem. Here's the big challenge is we get Saturn conjunct. This is one of the most bearish transits you can get historically. Usually when we get Saturn conjunct the Bitcoin Neptune. Now this is the Bitcoin BlackRock ETF Neptune. Saturn can bring contraction. Neptune can bring confusion. So markets usually don't like that. November 17th, we're getting a direct hit. And again on December 9th. Now, that's super bearish, but the good news is that could be a good buy opportunity. This is what I'm thinking for my strategy. So I'm not allowed to give you guys any financial advice. You got to be aware that crypto is risky. You can lose all your money, especially in dumps like this that are happening lately. But that's just what I'm thinking for my strategy. That's all I can say. We're getting some positive transits towards the end of November. But yeah, that's really interesting that these could be a decent buy opportunity for a swing trade. Perhaps at the end of November, looks like November 17th or December 9th. Interesting there. Then if we just look at the normal astrology, one thing I didn't look at closely enough was the Pluto was retrograding and it just went direct on the 14th. And man, I really felt that. So like, you know, the more I study astrology, the more kind of sensitive the more aware of how sensitive I am to the energies. I was feeling this Pluto direct very intensely. We had some of the craziest stuff happen over here. I did. For some reason, a lot of times things manifest in my house or my pool pump, my water pump, things like that. So just overnight around this Pluto going direct. So when Pluto goes from retrograde to direct, it really activates the Pluto energy because in the sky, it actually appears that Pluto is standing still, that Pluto's not even moving because it's switching directions. It's going from going forward to then moving backwards. But in that moment where it shifts, it appears to be standing still. So it really activates that Pluto energy. What happened when Pluto went direct? My pool started leaking randomly, and I had to go try to figure out. I had to go be a detective, try to figure out why the heck the pool is leaking, ask a bunch of people who might know in the area. Nobody could really help me, so I had to do it by myself. I was on my own. And then I had to do all this investigation work with AI. AI was helping me, luckily. And then I had to order a new part, and I had one of the most challenging days actually yesterday. It's been continuing. I think I figured it out today. But man, I had to order a part. I had to replace the part. I had to do some deep engineering work. It's really good. I have an engineering background. I went to school for engineering, mechanical engineering. I had to take apart this pool pump. I had to unscrew all these things. I had to get the part. I had to replace the part. I had to take this pin out. That was extremely, extremely challenging. It took me a whole entire day to take all these pieces apart. And then, man, I should have videotaped it. It was just wild. Then I realized that the new part that I ordered did not come with O-rings. So then it leaked when I installed it. It was just like gushing water out, which made no sense. So then I had to take it back out again. And then I had to, luckily I had the old O-rings on the old part. I had to take those old rings off, which was extremely challenging, and reinstall those back onto the new part, and then put everything back together again. It was so crazy. So challenging. So anyways, Pluto kind of represents, it can represent a lot of things, like the things that are under the surface that haven't been dealt with yet, are shadows. In this case, kind of the shadow of my pool pump, which metaphorically, in pool pump, it's actually under the ground. It can represent the subconscious mind, can represent things that we've been avoiding, or things that need attention that we haven't given attention. And so the pool started leaking. So then I had to give a lot of attention to the pool pump, and then fix that, and then go through all the challenges of everything that went wrong while I was trying to fix it. So kind of Pluto is kind of the underworld, going deep down into the depths, the dark things that haven't been looked at in a long time, things that need attention. You can call it the shadow side. You can call it the subconscious mind. You can call it the emotions. Anyways, and then that was around the time we had the crypto dump. So like crypto was tanking, my pool was leaking, the pool pump's having problems. And then the same day, I kid you not, our blender started smelling like weird, crazy, like burnt electronics, and our blender stopped working. So now we have to order a new blender. It was just like the weirdest stuff going on. Technologically, it's really interesting because Pluto's in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is Aquarius is Uranus. Uranus is the planet of technology and crypto. So we had a crypto dump. Then all this technology in my house stopped working. All these things are falling apart. And I had to get down to the bottom of all that, which is Pluto. All right. So it's wild. So Pluto can bring a major market shift. That's what we got. We got the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. Man, that's wild. And a lot of times astrology makes sense looking back. It would have been very difficult to predict that. I don't know anyone who predicted that kind of event with just a Pluto switching from retrograde to going direct, but that's what we got. Looking back on it, it makes sense. Aquarius being the sign of crypto and technology, that's wild. And Pluto really getting down to the bottom of everything. Anything that has needed attention. We saw with that massive liquidation event, all of the things that went wrong technologically with crypto and on the exchanges, and how there was just a cascading liquidations happening one after the other. So definitely showed us some problems in this industry. All right, so very interesting astrologically there. Another thing, actually, let me see if I can pull this up. To pull up the right page here. Oh, shoot. I think I have to do this. Where's the... Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me close this window. Here it is over here. I forgot where I put it. So we have the And we also had the Sun square Jupiter. All right, so the Sun squaring Jupiter, that can really pop the bubble of optimism. That can be overly optimistic. So I think a lot of people before that crash were thinking we're going to the moon. I had too much over optimism as well. It's a bummer. We also had Mercury conjunct Mars. Actually, that's coming up very soon. And I didn't take this seriously enough. When Mars is in the sign of Scorpio, which it is right now, historically Bitcoin does not do well. I mean, it's actually at neutral, but it's definitely not good. Neutral usually isn't very good. It means historically Bitcoin has not done well when Mars is in Scorpio. Yeah, so I didn't think I didn't take that seriously enough. And also Jupiter in Cancer typically does not do well, which is really surprising because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. But we just got to respect the data here. Then we actually have, okay, now this is another thing here. This is really big. Is this planet Neptune right here? Planet of, it can be really high spiritual connection, but it can also bring massive confusion. It can bring like, so it can bring like tidal waves of emotions. It can bring, definitely can bring some chaos because like in ancient Greece, Poseidon was basically Neptune, and Poseidon can bring some massive, scary storms and waves and all kinds of crazy stuff, metaphorically or literally. So October 22nd, we're getting Neptune. It's going to retrograde back to Pisces again. Now, Neptune rules Pisces, but going back into the 29th anaretic degree, that's the most intense degree. And it represents major endings. All right, so this is the last time Neptune's coming back into Pisces for hundreds of years. So in our lifetimes, this is the last time. So this is major endings as Neptune completes its retrograde into Pisces. It's going to be wrapping up all conclusions, all endings, things in our lives that we need to end. This is not a time to continue the status quo. This is not a time to think that we're just going to keep. This is not a time to go back to the past, but, only temporarily, only up until the end of January. It's a time to go to the past. But other than that, it's a time to end everything we need to end in our lives, whatever that is, and move on. This is really the last chance we have to reflect on things in our lives in the past chapter that we've learned, or things that have gone well or have not gone well. And by the end of January, it's going to be time to move forward permanently. How does it have to do with crypto? Well, I'm not certain. It's not super easy to predict this, but in terms of going back to the past, I mean, maybe it's time to realize that we're not going to get the blow off top that we were expecting, and we're going to go back a little bit. Maybe we're going to correct, and we might need to it's time to reevaluate. It's time to reevaluate our strategy. Maybe we are not going to get a massive altcoin run. Maybe we're not going to get it at all this cycle. And at the same time, maybe we'll have to reevaluate. Maybe we could get it next year. It's possible, but definitely not guaranteed. But this is really a time to take a step back with Neptune going back into Pisces. It's going to meet Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is a very watery, can be a confusing sign. So it's really a time to connect spiritually, meditate, whatever spiritual practices you have to connect to your center again. Because January 27th, it's going to permanently move forward. And it's going to be time to permanently move forward in our lives, to let go of the past, let go of what's no longer working. I'm talking about everything in your life, or whatever themes in your life are showing up. It's going to be time to let go of past relationships, be time to let go of the past chapter. It's going to be time to let go of past dreams and hopes that have not panned out. you know, like I was saying, perhaps those hopes that we're going to get a massive altcoin run, maybe we have to let that go, at least temporarily, at least for the next few months. Maybe we need to let that go. We can reevaluate our plan as it's going to move forward in January 27th. And in the best case scenario, crypto could move forward again. And in the best case scenario, we could get a blow off top next year, maybe a massive altcoin run. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, we have already started the bear market. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen because nobody can. If it was that easy, then we'd all be billionaires, wouldn't we? We'd all be just chilling on an island in this beautiful paradise, whatever, just loving life. Or maybe being super bored. I don't know. You know, wealth isn't the answer to everything. Maybe we just be super bored on an island, on our own island, just chilling there by ourselves. I don't know. Who knows? But we got to respect the indicators, you know? So like even Solana's showing massive down trend, man, well into next year. Holy moly. That is brutal. But it does show a possible uptick maybe in November for Solana. Who knows? None of this is guaranteed, but we're just looking at the information that we have available. XRP is showing way more potential upside heading into next year. Not guaranteed, but that's currently what the indicator is showing. Anyways, we can only have forward-looking indicators, but we can never know the absolute true timeline that's going to happen in the future, as the timelines are always shifting. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, we talked about the astrology today, what we're seeing. You know, just looking at astrology and even looking at indicators, it's never 100% clear, right? So we got to just use the information that we have available, see what correlations we can find, and then just do our best. So that's, you know, that's why I sold 50%. I was seeing that things were not looking so good as we were heading into, man, I'm trying to find the chart. Oh, here we go. Oh, another thing I wanted to look at was liquidation. So, or actually the daily exchange volume. So we want to see the daily exchange volume continue upwards for the bulls if we want the price to continue to go up. So far, we have been getting a lot of volume coming in here on those massive liquidations as expected. The problem is we're just starting to fall off here. We are starting to tank all of a sudden. That's fine. That's totally fine as long as we can find support around like 70 billion probably would be decent. Either 70 or 79 billion. If we can find support around there, 76 billion even, and then continue to move up, then we could have it continued run up. But if we get something that happens like this, like we haven't had back in January when Trump was inaugurated, Solana pumped super high, and then it got a huge rejection, that spelled really big trouble. And we had downside, not just with the daily exchange volume, but we had downside with the crypto prices after January. I'm talking about this time right here, and it was brutal. Okay, it took months and months and months for us to recover. That could be our reality here. It's certainly possible, not 100% certain. But if the daily exchange volume just falls off a cliff again, like we're potentially seeing right here, if it continues downwards, that's not a good omen, and we could continue to have more downside. So that's why I have the title of this video the way it is. Could we have months more pain for crypto? Certainly possible. But of course, you know, indicators that that's not true is if we break past, let's say 116 for Bitcoin, and then we break past 118. But then we actually got to get above this trend line here. We got to break past and get above like 120. And then bounce off of here and find support there and then continue upwards. If we get that to happen, then we are out of the woods. But before then, we have some work to do. We have to get through all the way up here. All right, so that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This guy says, oh, wow. Yes, indeed. Oh, wow. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video. Click my links below if you want to get access to my private Crypto Astro Mastermind and be doing a deep, deep dive astrology and taking a look at much more indicators on my private group call coming up this week. So if you want to sign up for that, definitely click the links below. You want to save yourself from more downside. You don't want to go through months of pain. I can help you with that in this powerful private group call coming up this week. All right, talk to you guys very soon, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.